Playboi Carti's label, Opium, is often seen as the best label to sign to as an underground artist. But today I wanted to discuss how Opium has grown over the years and where the label is at right now. Playboi Carti first signed Ken Carson to Opium, and Ken saw massive success from the moment he signed with Opium. Ken Carson's first project under Opium was Project X in 2021. This album resonated with fans and had a few hit songs, the most popular being Rock and Roll. Ken would continue with another album just over a year later with X. This album seemed to split fans of Ken Carson. On one half, you had fans who loved that he went even deeper into the rage sound, although on the other hand, you had a lot of fans a bit disappointed because they thought Ken would have changed up the sound and vibe he had with Project X. But Ken Carson stuck to what he gave his fans. And now, over a year after X, I think a good amount of fans that were disappointed at first found songs on the album that grew on them, then found that they may have liked X more than they really thought. Ken Carson would also release a deluxe to X with a handful of songs, but seemingly none of them really blew up. Ken Carson also released a single on Valentine's Day this year, that song being I Need You. Personally, I really like the song I Need You. I love how Ken didn't go straight for a hardcore rage song. Now, it does still have elements of rage, absolutely. It's Ken Carson, I don't think he'll ever not have rage as a part of his sound. However, he definitely toned it down for this song, and I think it's still fire. Overall, Ken Carson is in a pretty good spot right now. I'd say he still has a really strong fan base, eager to hear what he's going to put out next. Although Ken Carson did say in a recent interview that you wouldn't be seeing new music from Ken Carson for a while. Now, who knows how long that actually may be, but my guess is it'll either be sometime in the fall this year or next year sometime that we see another Ken Carson project. Now, I want to talk about Destroy Lonely. Destroy Lonely was the second artist signed to Opium, and since signing, he has blown up a ton. Destroy Lonely released his first project under Opium summertime 2022, that album being No Stylist. No Stylist was a hit album for Lone. Many fans of Opium quickly became Destroy Lonely fans because they heard No Stylist and knew Lone had superstar potential. Lone even having the hit song from No Stylist being the song No Stylist, Lone would also release a deluxe of No Stylist in November of 2022. However, like Ken Carson, it was a handful of songs and none of them really blew up. Now, this brings us to Destroy Lonely's next and most recent project, If Looks Could Kill. Destroy Lonely had a ton of hype for this album, I'd even say more than Ken did with X. Lone even had a big budget rollout for this album, and it was clear Destroy Lonely thought this album would be highly loved by fans. But when the album released, fans had a ton of mixed reactions. Many people saying No Stylist is better and saying Lone never brought any energy on the project. There was still a decent amount of people who loved the album even after the first listen. But I found way more people either overhyped themselves for this album or were just disappointed with what they got from Destroy Lonely. Personally, I didn't love the album at first. I thought it felt like an hour and 20 minutes of sort of the same vibe. However, after listening many more times through the entire album, I found myself somewhere in the middle. I really like about 13 of the songs on the album, but the album is 26 songs. That's only half of the songs that I really liked. And the biggest problem I saw with the album is that it could have been a masterpiece, had Lone just not added so much filler. It's honestly a struggle to get through every song of the album, because after you get past the song Chris Paul, you feel satisfied and happy with the songs he gave you. Then you look at the track list and see 10 more songs, and for most fans that is just a daunting task to have to do. Now, Destroy Lonely did sell 28K first week with this album, which is huge for Opium and Destroy Lonely. To this point, that is the biggest first week sale out of any of the Opium members. Now, I don't want to sound like I didn't like If Looks Could Kill. I did like it. It just could have been shorter, and I would have liked to see a bit more difference between each song. So, for Opium and Playboi Carti, If Looks Could Kill has been a huge success. 28K first week is a ton for someone like Lone. I just hope with the next project, he keeps some of the aspects of If Looks Could Kill, but also have some more of the No Stylist joints on there. And lastly, we have to talk about Homicide Gang. Homicide Gang was signed in 2022 and released the duo's first project in fall of 2022, that being Homicide Lifestyle. This project is actually really dope. It doesn't overstay its welcome, and almost every song is heat. However, Homicide Gang did find themselves in a bit of trouble a few months after this release. Allegedly, Homicide Bino was messaging underage girls knowingly. Now, this has stayed with Homicide Gang since the announcement of it. However, Homicide Gang never really said anything, and it seemed to blow over, and then they just released a new project called Snot or Not. Now, I've always separated the art from the artist, so I never really involve myself in boycotting or just not listening to an artist over something outside of the music. So I did listen to this project, and I have to say, Homicide Gang delivered with this project. They didn't just stick with the Whole Lotta Red sound, they switched up the beats a ton, and it was still fire on the project. Again, this project did not overstay its welcome, and it was really good. I'd say Homicide Gang is the only one on Opium right now who is 2 for 2. Now, Opium as a whole right now is in a good place. However, I am worried for Opium's future and what it will look like. As it seems right now, the only fans of Opium are just fans of Playboi Carti, and they seemingly live through Opium artists to get their Carti fix. And I see that being a problem because it's never good to have fans that only want to hear you do one certain thing. And that's why we are seeing so much backlash on Destroy Lonely with If Looks Could Kill. Like I said earlier, it's not a bad project, but for fans to act like it's not Rage or it's not what I wanted from Destroy Lonely like No Stylist, and to basically tell Lone, you can only make this vibe and if not, we won't support you, I don't love that. It may be exactly why Ken Carson is waiting a while to release another project. Because fans did the same thing to Ken Carson for not switching up his beats on X. So I find myself asking the question when I see these posts, do these people even like Opium, or are they just trying to deal with what Playboi Carti does give them? And by that, you can see how a good amount of fans from Opium would start to be somewhat toxic. I was shocked at how many people I saw clowning Lone for switching up his style. He didn't even do it bad, he just had a bit too much filler. There are a lot of good songs on If Looks Could Kill, and I think the hate it's getting is very unwarranted. Yes, it's not a perfect album, it definitely is not. It has far too many songs and is a way too long of a runtime. But the album does have a handful of really good tracks. Overall, personally, I have loved what everyone in Opium is doing. I'm happy with Ken Carson being the guy who always has energy and hard-hitting beats. I'm happy with Lone being the more chill and laid-back guy who may be a bit more experimental than others. And I'm very happy with what I've gotten from Homicide Gang. Like I said earlier, I thought they went 2 for 2. Not to mention, I've seen some clips of the Homicide Gang performances, and they go crazy. Homicide Gang really knows how to control a crowd and keep the energy really up. So let me know what you think about this take on Opium, as well as let me know who your favorite member of Opium is. Thanks for watching.